Well, let's get more on those conditions on the ground in Gaza. We can speak now to Louise Wateridge. She's the spokesperson for UNRWA. That's one of the key UN groups working in Gaza, and joins me from Nusrat in the central Gaza Strip. Thank you so much for joining us, Louise. Now, we have, haven't we, talked for months now about the severity of the conditions there in Gaza for civilians. How serious is it now where you are?
I mean, every day it gets worse. Even by the hour, it's getting worse. I'm joining you today from a stairwell of our accommodation on the very little data I have, because the last hour we've had communications down again. This makes it incredibly terrifying for the population. This population has been cut off and isolated from their families, from each other, and from the outside world for large durations of this war. And when there's the thundering loom of bombardments, you know, as you say, I'm in the middle area, so in the south, in the middle, and of course in the north as well. All we hear throughout the day and throughout the night are these thundering booms, and the military action is continuous, it's ongoing, it's terrifying for everyone around, and it's very difficult for us to receive information, but also get information for the reasons I just said. In addition to that, we have a severe lack of fuel at the moment. So in terms of the, communications being down, another one of the challenges that we have is that we can't even get into a vehicle a lot of the time and move. There's reports that a huge desalination plant here in the middle area is going to run out of fuel very shortly. That means that 1 million people will be impacted by such an event. But this is something we've been facing for the last 8 months. Lack of communications, lack of fuel. Not only for the humanitarian response does it completely challenge, it's also, makes every day impossible for the population here.
As you say, this has been the case for the past several months, and we have spoken to you and many others doing a similar role to you here on BBC News for months now. What do you think needs to happen for the situation to actually change and for us to not be having a discussion like this again in weeks or months to come?
I mean, honestly, the people here are so exhausted. They are tired. It very much feels like, the humanitarians, the people, we're pushing a rock up a hill, trying to get any kind of progress, trying to get any kind of support to the community. We need more access. We need more aid, more supplies. It's never been enough. For 8 months, it's never been enough. Now is the worst, and no doubt tomorrow will be the worst again. But in case of the humanitarian response, I talk about the people who are now having the choice. The choices are living among piles of trash that are rotting in the heat, or in bombed out, rubble-filled buildings with no bathrooms, no running water. And it's a very similar case for the humanitarians. We are now going back to buildings that have been bombed out, that have been destroyed, and we are now running humanitarian operations from these very same buildings. It's a complete circus. It's going round and round. There is no progress. Now again, humanitarian response is back in Khan Yunis, in buildings that I was in a month ago. It's devastating to say that there are bodies of people buried in the corner of these UN facilities, and there is nowhere else for us to go. We need to keep providing support to people. We keep trying to do everything we can, providing food, providing dignity kits, providing hygiene kits, water. And the only way we can do that is going back to these buildings that have been destroyed, all but destroyed. We're trying to rebuild walls. We're trying to distribute food and flour in these areas, but it is impossible. It really, really feels impossible on the ground today. Everybody is tired. The humanitarians here are part of the displaced community. They're exhausted. They've been going through this displacement for 8 months with the community, and it feels like it's never going to end. The heat of the summer is upon us. It's adding to the exhaustion, and with less water and disease spreading with these piles of trash everywhere, it's just absolutely unbearable.
Well, Louise, thank you for giving us a really clear picture of the situation on the ground where you are in the central Gaza Strip there. Thank you. That's Louise Wateridge from UNRWA.